Here is one thing I like about every US president, from George Washington up to Joe Biden. Number 4. Let's begin. George Washington set the first example for how a president should act that all presidents have followed ever since. John Adams never owned slaves. Thomas Jefferson invented the swivel chair. James Madison designed the $5,000 bill. James Monroe made the state of Maine a free state. John Quincy Adams was the chief negotiator for the United States in ending the War of 1812. Andrew Jackson was Tennessee's first House representative. Martin Van Buren upheld African Americans' right to testify in a court case for North Carolina in 1840. William Henry Harrison spoke about the importance of states' rights in his inaugural address. John Tyler wanted to avoid national debt during peacetime. James Polk created the Smithsonian Institution. Zachary Taylor opposed the expansion of slavery despite the fact he owned slaves. Millard Fillmore ended the slave trade in Washington, D.C. Franklin Pierce was the only president to keep his entire cabinet in place for the full 4-year term. James Buchanan was a supporter of Andrew Jackson. Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president. Andrew Johnson thought of Franklin Pierce as a weak president. Ulysses Grant captured the first full Confederate force during the Civil War. Rutherford Hayes closed government departments for a day to decorate the graves of recent fallen soldiers. James Garfield was part of the committee that decided the Compromise of 1877. Chester Arthur was a brigadier general during the Civil War. Grover Cleveland proved that a president can get elected to 2 non-consecutive terms. Benjamin Harrison increased the size of the Navy, serving on the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. William McKinley served in the Civil War under the leadership of Rutherford Hayes. Theodore Roosevelt is the youngest person to become president. William Taft prohibited the transportation of women across state lines for immoral purposes. Woodrow Wilson established the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the predecessor to NASA. Warren Harding was the first president to speak on the radio. Calvin Coolidge made all Indians citizens of the United States. Herbert Hoover made Charles Curtis the first vice president of color. Franklin Roosevelt kicked some Axis Rs during World War II. Harry Truman approved the Marshall Plan to help rebuild Europe after World War II, and so it wouldn't fall under communism. Dwight Eisenhower successfully carried out Operation Pee-wee's Success to overthrow Guatemala's communist president. John Kennedy signed Executive Order 11,063 to prohibit federal housing discrimination. Lyndon Johnson created the first Father's Day. Richard Nixon approved the creation of the Space Shuttle program. Gerald Ford furthered America's antitrust laws. Jimmy Carter reinstated the Selective Service System. Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down this wall. George H.W. Bush is the second youngest naval aviator of World War II. Bill Clinton signed the Internet Tax Freedom Act prohibiting the government from taxing internet services. George W. Bush made the teaching of the Constitution on September 17th be required in public schools. Barack Obama replaced No Child Left Behind with Every Student Succeeds. Donald Trump signed the right to try into law. And finally, Joe Biden is a very memeable president.